our third part of Immanuel Kant and his philosophical legacy. Today we're looking at Immanuel Kant's kind of long-term legacy, his impacts on modern philosophy and modern politics. And yeah, we're going to be just looking at the end of his life. We looked at kind of his early life with his education, how he was raised by his parents and his family, his friends, etc. And we also looked at his most popular works. And today we're just going to be looking at just his death, kind of what he's remembered by, and his important traits, and his legacy in things like science, and why he matters today. Yeah, so let's get started. So Immanuel Kant again was a philosopher, an important, influential figure in philosophy. Just so you haven't watched the previous videos, he was born in Prussia, and he just changed with books like the Critique of Pure Reason, just transformed Western thought by asking really profound questions. And through his very disciplined life and intellectual rigor, he was able to make an indelible mark on philosophy and on other extensive subjects like science, ethics, and he's the most enduring figures, one of the most enduring figures in intellectual history. Yeah, so the thing I wanted to start off by is some misunderstandings of Kant. And these misunderstandings not only happened during his lifetime, but in the current era, and even more so because people are just not very much aware of his work extensively. They are not acquainted with the kind of values that he was talking about, and they're really not seeing the revolutionary just impact that he brought on with his work. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about this a bit more before we get started with anything because Kant's philosophy is so complex and it's led to a lot of misunderstanding for it. For example, the I think the primary one is this religious misinterpretation. So while Kant does critique traditional religious arguments, he's not rejecting the possibility of God. And I see just atheists and just agnostic people just using some of Immanuel Kant's language and his reasoning to perform a complete rejection of God, and somehow I think some religious people take it as a kind of heresy, a direct rejection of the possibility of God. But that's not necessarily true. He takes a very nuanced statement on that, and yeah, this causes a lot of misinterpretation, and this has caused lots of debates in his actual stance on religion, and it's something that scholars continue to debate to this day. They're reading extensively on his work, on his correspondence, and they're saying, "Oh, maybe he did think about God in this way, maybe he didn't," and it's just an ongoing argument. But yeah, it's for sure he did not reject the possibility of God. And so, yeah, religion and the possibility of religion is an unsolved mystery for Kant. And also, another thing that he is misunderstood for is his ethics. So many kind of reduce his ideas of universal laws without just grasping its moral reasoning. And even when I was just giving you like allegories to it, when I was talking about littering and stuff, those are just kind of misinterpretation that he might think of as, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in a more profound way. I meant it in a more expansive way. And so yeah, it's hard to talk about just all the nuances and all the depth of Kant's work. And so simplifying in some cases becomes necessary. It's just that these kind of simplified arguments presented without the nuance can lead to a lot of misunderstanding. And that's one of the reasons why I always want to remind you that although I've prepared this courses in the best way that I can, kind of presenting the way that Kant viewed it as best I could do. Really, my work is just a novice. It's not even a novice. I'm just completely ignorant about this topic, and so a lot of my what I'm saying might not be accurate or not be with the kind of nuance that Kant meant it. And I really encourage you to do extra research, to look into the field yourself, and to garner passion. And the primary focus of this project is not to tell you accurate information of Kant, but it's to just garner your attention into different philosophers and the kind of life that they led and the impact they have on modern society and why they are so relevant. And just fully understanding Kant requires so much careful study, so much meticulous understanding, and it's hard to take those times to find his ideas and to just comprehensively. And but I think those who do take the time will find his ideas to be very rewarding and transformative in their lives. Yeah, on a lighter note, I wanted to talk about Kant's humor and wit, and these same pictures I showed you on our first week is him with his friends. Despite his reputation as a very serious philosopher, Kant was known for his humor and just very lively conversations. Yeah, he shared a lot of witty remarks during dinner with his friends, and he was a beloved figure in Koenigsberg within intellectual circles. His kind of very lighthearted nature helped him to connect with his students and colleagues, and it just proved that he even his most disciplined life, he was still able to find joy in social connection and this ability to kind of balance his intellectual rigor and a very kind of aesthetic lifestyle. Um, with humor makes Kant a more admirable and more relatable figure to all of us and yeah, to his contemporaries at the time. Let's look at a bit into his health. Yeah, so Kant's disciplined lifestyle was not without its challenges. He faced a lot of health issues, and he often he talked about frequently suffering from digestive problems, which influenced his careful eating habits, and this was possibly one of the reasons why he led such a meticulous life. And as he aged, he had declining senses, his eyesight and hearings slowly deteriorated, and yeah, he continued to work until his final years. And even in his in his connections to physical and mental well-being and health conscious habits, these kind of I think reflect his philosophy of continuing to to work even when life presents a challenge to you, and also kind of keeping all your faculty healthy in order to understand yourself better. And his perseverance through these challenges, I think, demonstrate his commitment to intellectual pursuits. Yeah, and another thing that makes Kant really relatable to us is his modesty. Even after he gained recognition for his groundbreaking works, he remained remarkably and steadfastly modest, and he avoided public attention and rarely left his hometown. And instead of seeking fame, Kant focused on teaching at the university and writing, and he really devoted his life to the pursuit of truth. And that's kind of a showing of his morality embodied in himself because he says doing moral things, pursuing modesty just for other people to see for another goal beside it is nothing. It does not have any moral value. In order to have moral value, it must be done as an accord in and of itself. And I think his humility really inspired both students and fellow contemporary philosophers who admired his unwavering dedication to intellectual and moral integrity without seeking outside rewards and outside kind of reverence for his work. It's really beautiful, I think. Almost all very renowned philosophers, they kind of rejected fame. They were like, yeah, I am working on these things, but I don't work on it for people to see. I don't work on it for people to recognize it. I work on it because it's my truth and it's something that I love doing. That's a very beautiful way of looking at it, and that's one of the things that inspires me the most to look into more philosophy because, it's something that these people dedicated their entire life to. It was something for them that was more important than social acceptance, anything that a lot of people care about these days. And so you kind of wonder, what is this thing that made them so obsessed with it that made them dedicate their entire lives into it? Yeah, let's look at more into his legacies. I think the most significant impact was his legacy on science. It's just in particularly in understanding space, time, and perception, his works are just so important. For example, he kind of argued that space and times are not external realities, but a form of human intuition. And so time and space kind of exist relatively. And this idea later influenced Einstein's theory of relativity. And now I am very much overly simplifying this. And honestly, I do not understand Einstein's theory of relativity. And yeah, I cannot tell you exactly what it was, but I'm just trying to show you that Kant's legacy does not stop in the philosophical field. It's so extensive in its scope, and the same thing goes with cosmology. He proposed in one of his early works the formation of galaxies, and this kind of showed his interest in universal mysteries, and also his philosophy aligns with just current discussions, current scientific discoveries of human perceptions, and also the limits of scientific discovery. And I think by integrating philosophy and science, Kant demonstrated how abstract thought can illuminate practical knowledge for all of us. And it's really beautiful how his works all the way back in the 1780s for his latest work can really impact us in the 21st century in science of all things, right? And in terms of his personal impact, I think there's a lot to talk about here as well because Kant's very disciplined life and intellectual rigor, I think, makes him a role model for a lot of people who want careful and kind of systematic thinking. And especially in his influence during the Enlightenment, his writing challenged Enlightenment thinkers to reflect deeply on their beliefs and actions, and Kant's commitment to reason and moral clarity just continues to inspire scholars, students, and leaders worldwide, and it has significant modern relevance. And he just remains a symbol of intellectual integrity and the pursuit of understanding unparalleled to a lot of people. And he is my personal role model, and I think he's someone definitely to look up to because he was someone who lived by his own values and his own philosophy. So why does Kant matter today? Why why is his works no longer outdated? Like I said, he has significant impact today, but why? Why is he lived all the way back in the 1700s. He doesn't matter anymore. Well, Kant's philosophy remains so vital to us because it addresses universal human questions that just never go away. That will always be questions that will always be relevant for us humans. Things like how do we know what is real? What is the right thing to do? How do we appreciate beauty and purpose in the world? And all these things will be questions that will forever impact us because it is so extensive and also just it's so intricately tied to human beings. Even when AIs rule the world and we don't have to do anything and it's just like technology ruling over, I think these will always be a significant question. How do we know what is real? What is the right thing to do? And how do we appreciate beauty and purpose in the world? And that is something that I think all these philosophers kind of inspire you to think about. How do we know what is real? What's morality? And how do we live a purposeful life in this world? That is a significant question that all these philosophers try to answer. And his philosophy and his ideas are tools for critical thinking and ethical decision making, making Kant one of not just a historical figure, but a ever-present guide that navigates modern challenges. And yeah, he is a significant figure that will always endure in intellectual history. Yeah, so his death really, I think, reflects a lot of his values as well. His health was declining in his later years, and even then, he continued to work on his ideas and philosophy, and even when his memories and physical strength were faded, he continued to reflect on his ideas. His last words were reportedly, "It is good." And I think that's just a beautiful acceptance of life and death that not a lot of people get to enjoy. Um, yeah, that is a beautiful last word. And what you see on your right is Immanuel Kant's tomb. Um, and it is in Koenigsberg. It remains a tribute to his legacy, and it's just honoring his life dedicated to the pursuit of reason and truth. So, why Kant's life inspires? I think this is a very good question. I think for me personally, Kant's journey is from humble beginnings to becoming one of history's greatest thinkers through dedication and discipline alone is a testament to the power of dedication, really. His modesty, his hard work, his unwavering commitment to truth, all these are just beautiful. And his integrity just inspires students and scholars worldwide, continues to do it. He is a perfect role model, I think, and Kant's life reminds us that intellectual vigor and strong moral compass can leave a lasting impact, and that it's proving great minds shape not only their time, but also the future. That 200 years later, no, 300 years later, we're here talking about Immanuel Kant and his lasting legacy. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this journey looking at Immanuel Kant. Kant is really one of my favorite philosophers, and just being able to share that with you guys, looking at his work and just exploring all that he offers was truly beautiful, and I'm just very appreciative of all you guys' the support in this journey, and I hope that you continue to look into Immanuel Kant, you look into his writings, some of the works that were introduced, and you continue your journey on philosophy and philosophical understanding. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great day. Bye bye.